Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the most creative Terran out there in the blue. It's the Admiral, GuMiho. And a rematch against the German powerhouse in the red, Die Mauer, the Wall, Showtime. A best-of-5 Terran versus Protoss Grand Finals here in the Kung Fu Cup. A rematch of the Homestory Cup Finals, where GuMiho was able to eke out a 4-3 victory just barely, as Showtime seemed to lose his patience somewhat. But whether you think GuMiho deserves to win another one, or whether it's Showtime's time to show that he has what it takes to beat him, either way, it'd be awesome if you could smash that like button, and maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? 1,379 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my life, but thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Here we go again. Twilight Council on the way. Widowmine scampering out. I don't expect a lot of early aggression from these two. GuMiho is more of a mid-game player with that creativity, and Showtime is nicknamed the Wall. So, Wall's not known for their aggressive potential. You filthy, filthy Terran. He's hiding the Widowmine with the Reaper in the smoke. The double coverage there, in case an Adept shades by or an Oracle flies over. They might not realize it until it's far too late. Little details like that. GuMiho, the only player who really feels like he innovates Terran. Other Terrans will iterate, but rarely, and somewhat ironically, innovation was one of the least innovative Terrans of all time. He would do the same exact, 3 racks, 2 base timing, 3 games in a row, and lose all 3, if that's what it took. But GuMiho, on the other hand, always has something a little new. I think that comes from, well, he's called the Towel Terran, and that's because he has a condition called hyperhidrosis, where he's literally so sweaty he plays with his hand in a towel, because otherwise his mouse wouldn't, I don't know, I guess that's how he's worked out for his mouse to work. So he's got to play just a little bit differently. He's statistically one of the slower players in terms of APM, but he more than makes up for it by playing smarter. And apparently that means starting out with a Widowmine drop. Showtime will have blank, but it's a little bit later than the mine drop. GuMiho sliding in, looking for, he just jams it into that little mineral pocket. The ritual sacrifice. Unfortunate for Showtime that another drone, or probe rather, there are no drones here thankfully, another probe wanders in, gets 2 for 1. Nice little bonus there, but Liberator on the way, but the Widowmine! Oh, Showtime looking the other way. The Widowmine smacks him in the face, takes out a Stalker. So far, it's okay for GuMiho. And he's got a Siege Tank up front. The Observer is lagging a little bit behind. Siege Tank gets a big shot off. Softens up those Stalkers, and only 3 Stalkers is not even enough to one-shot SCVs or Marines. He's going to take down the mine before it could trigger. The probes pulled off the line to make sure of it. But GuMiho trying to kind of play zone defense here against the Blink Stalkers, because the best defense is a good offense. If the Stalkers know where you are, what? No, keep moving! The Siege Tank can't go through that little Watchtower choke point, though the Marines tried to push him into it. Another attack at the back, and Showtime not reacting. The Liberator Siege is up. GuMiho poking at the Stalkers. Showtime ends up losing 4 probes and a lot of mining time. The Stalkers blink in. He might be a little late on it. The Force Field optimistic at best, which puts it right on par for most Force Fields in this matchup. Liberator Siege is up again. More probes will die as GuMiho sieges both sides. And he's tearing him apart right now. Losing the Nexus would be devastating. Target fires the Immortal, and without the Nexus done, you can't overcharge. Stock Marines. Is he really going to wait it out? He gets the overcharge, and it costs him the price of the Nexus. But Showtime has lost a lot of probes. That's it. GG GuMiho game 1 with relative ease. He just 1-2-3 punch and knocks Showtime out of it before I even finish the dramatic introduction. All right. Well, that's one way to do it. GuMiho hits him from every angle. Both the the underhanded Widow Mines flying over into the mineral line, Liberator at the back, and siege tanks at the front. GuMiho does not let up. But there's a reason we play more than best of ones. Showtime. Hopefully able to pull it together after that one. That can happen sometimes. Terran versus Protoss is a very polarizing matchup. I don't know if that's exactly the right word, but you don't have a lot of wiggle room for taking a mediocre fight. Either you win or you lose it, because the units are so capable of doing so much damage to each other. Whether it's Liberators, ruining mineral lines, Blink Stalkers, warping in and compounding an advantage almost instantly, or Charge Lots swarming over the army. There are so many options, and this is why it can sometimes feel kind of like a seesaw, where players will go back and forth, and then sit in their base for 3 minutes and then come out. Because if you don't have an army you think you can outright win a fight with, it's far too risky to bring it out there. I don't think Showtime is going to... I doubt we'll see that again. What went wrong there for him? Well, I guess we could start by listing what went right, which is effectively nothing. He didn't get the early mine drop before it came in for another round. He ate some hits to the Stalkers as he trundled across the map. And his third base was maybe a bit of an overcommitment. It was just perfect execution in every sense of the word from GuMiho. The sweatiest Terran. Statistically. Alright. Twilight again. The staple of the matchup. Stargate can be used, but it's also risky. If you go Stargate and you eat a Widow Mine hit, or they have Cyclones, or... It is a high risk, medium reward, it feels like a lot of the time. Whereas the Blink Stalkers are a little bit more in line with it. A bit more even on the risk-reward ratio. Blink is on the way. Double Reaper Hellion as GuMiho reaches into his bag of Terran versus Terran builds to apply to the Protoss. I wasn't watching every moment, but it's hard to see what went wrong. I mean, little things like being a couple seconds late on pulling away from the Liberator, like a second probe wandering into a Widow Mine hit. Stuff like that adds up pretty quickly, but GuMiho also did a great job. It wasn't like Showtime is blind. Citation needed, right? Shout out to my blind viewers. Kind of have to, but... GuMiho did such a great job of manipulating his attention. Because APM is good, but attention per minute is even better. And taking the initiative like that gives you a lot of advantage. Like here's another build from GuMiho that is certainly going to require a technical response. He's got 5 Reapers and 3 Hellions against Protoss, which is... Oh no, the Adept just shaded out, and he can come right through. He could just bounce them, or he could just, killing them also works. Gonna go straight through. Shield Battery finishes just barely in time. That's actually a huge deal. And Shield Battery Overcharge saves the day. He ends up not really killing anything but 1 Stalker. And Showtime, the wall patched up at the last possible second. If he doesn't get that battery done, he gets through the second Stalker. This starts spiraling. What is that? Sorry. I was getting excited over Showtime's defense, and then GuMiho had to take back my interest yet again. Hyperflight Rotors? Speed Banshees? Huh. Once again, GuMiho. So, for those who don't know, this used to be an upgrade that required a fusion core. Up until a few months ago. Or was it a year ago? I don't know. It's such an uncommon upgrade. Some people will use it in Zerg versus Terran. Still rarely. I don't know if I've ever seen this upgrade researched in as like an early game option in Terran versus Protoss. Did he misclick cloak? Like, well, here comes Showtime. I have no idea. The mind is boggled. The gabbers are flasted. We'll just have to see how it goes. Showtime will certainly not be expecting speed banshees. Who would? I would be expecting high-sec auto-tracking as a... What am I watching? Nah, you spin me right round. Don't know what was going on. That Adept, I think, trying to hit one of those. Oh, he comes in again. The Raven targeted. Auto turret slap down. Takes it out. Gets rid of the Observer. Hyperflight Rotors is now complete. Will he get Cloak afterwards, or is he going to pretend this was intentional? There's no way. I feel like he misclicked the Cloak, and now he's just literally running with it. Like, catch me if you can. What are we doing with the singing today? I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, but I apologize for yours and my discomfort, which is legally distinct. All right, now he's getting Cloak. I'm 50-50 on whether it was a misclick and he's running with it, but the Reapers bouncing. He still has a bunch of Reapers in the composition. Tries to target it down. Banshee comes in, adding a lot of damage. Speed Banshee comes back. All right. Well, Stalkers blinking to try to chase. He made a full world tour with that Banshee in about a minute because Hyperflight is quite a thing. It makes the Banshee faster than every unit that either side could build. Besides maybe Phoenixes. I think Phoenixes are the only thing that can chase it down. So, and he's still building them. So we're just going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say it was intentional. It's a very Gumi bro build. Showtime, though, carves out a ton of map control. He now essentially can keep GuMiho bottled up in his base. There's a difference between map control and map vision. Map vision is pretty obvious. You can see when things are coming out, but you can't necessarily contest them. Whereas with map control, your opponent risks either getting backstabbed or crushed if they move out at the wrong time. And because Showtime has 3 bases and he has a bigger army, he has control of the map, and GuMiho has to be very careful. There's a single cannon. He's still building Banshees. Banshees more like. All right. The Cloak coming in. And if he finds the right angle here, he could just kill the cannon. Like, they have so much damage. Immensely microable. The Observers are far too slow. He's actually out-kiting the Observers, which do not have whatever rocket engines on them that the Banshees do. Need Observer Afterburner. The Observer speed upgrade, I think, still makes them slower. They're still slower than the Banshees, but... So the Banshees are keeping Showtime at bay. For GuMiho to expand to his 3rd. With his mostly bio composition, but mix some mech in there. A bit of a bio-curious build he's got going on, but... It will end up being Marine Marauder Siege Tank, and eventually he may settle down with the Banshees and build some medevacs. And it seems like that time is... Meow. That time is... He's building 5 turrets, which seems a bit excessive. Meow. There it is. He really doesn't like Warp Prisms, though I do feel that this sort of investment is something a lot of Terrans just won't do. They'll build like 1 turret, and then the Warp Prism comes in with half HP, warps in 20 zealots, and you lose the game. So, oh, what a beautiful siege line. I'm totally unbiased, but GuMiho's my favorite. Metaphorically. Lines him up. He's got the Chew Toy depots and the funnels, and he's got the Banshee hit squad. Meanwhile, Showtime just tried to play normal over here. It's like, why won't you just play normal? The Banshees come in again. He may be able to take out the Nexus before the Stalkers come back to defend. Oh, yeah. Well, he's thinking about it, kiting around. He sees the Stalkers. There's the cancel, gets away. Decloaks. But Showtime, he has 8 gates, and he's adding more. 4th base already done. 5th base on the way. 76, 66 workers. GuMiho puts up his defenses. The mass siege tank defense. 3 command centers at a time. What is with Terrans doing this? You're not even maxed out. Like, yes, you're going to need more command centers, but it feels like you're kind of hamstringing your production at this stage of the game. But okay. All right. I'm not the professional. I'm just here to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. Like and subscribe. The siege line pounding the point home. The Colossi didn't even delay the command centers. The SCV braved the literal fire. Oh. Finally, observer speed, but a bit late. He's going to take out the battery. And the probes are kind of giggling in the wrong spot. Going to the gas geyser does make more sense. The army's coming back. The speed banshees. He's just going for the forge. Wait, can the... is the battery in range? Oh, no! Oh, no! Denied! +3 weapon. That's a huge deal, actually. Denying upgrades, and he's still got the Banshees alive. And he's got most of the Banshees alive. The Observer? Yeah. That's the ones. There's a Stargate on the way, so now a timer on those Banshees. But the totally on purpose and not accidentally misclicking Cloak Siege... That 100% was a misclick, and he's just running with it. But that's what GuMiho's so good with. Well... The fleet beacon is lit as the Protoss call for air superiority. We'll see if a mothership is in the cards as well, but GuMiho expanding to a 4, and Showtime is trying to take back the map. But so far, GuMiho has been stealing the show. The siege tank count, 8 of them, all... I like how he just lines them up. Usually siege lines aren't quite so literal. But with GuMiho... Oh, the turret! Even with speed! That's why you build the turrets. Multiple turrets along the path, even with speed. Showtime only barely slips by, and a couple Marines easily able to take out the rest. 2-2, finishing up for GuMiho. And those upgrades delayed for Showtime, who's now going carriers. Okay. It's going to be Ghost. Well, we're going into the Sky Toss versus Sky Terran. Are you... Banshee's in timeout right now. They've already done enough damage. They didn't really kill that many probes, but they've bought more than enough space for GuMiho, who's now headed for the fusion. Does he have a rally point messed up, or is that Ghost stuck? Not important. Fusion core is on the way. Though advanced ballistic seems most likely. I don't know how these charge lots got on the other side of the siege line, but thankfully they're not really directional. Mothership. Okay. Mothership is on the way. As Showtime techs all the way up. I feel like Showtime should build a single Phoenix to take out those Banshees. Though that would give away the fact he's going Stargate. So far, GuMiho has no idea. He hasn't seen the fleet beacon. He hasn't seen the carriers. He hasn't seen the Stargates. So building even a Phoenix right now would give GuMiho the extra time to build up probably, you know, more than... Well, he's got 2 starports, but those numbers, those are rookie numbers. Got to pump them up. But the point being, the Reapers will kill the probe before it could get a spylon. Yeah, so both sides. Well, Reaper's quite good against Zealots, actually. Not that that makes them a good late-game option, but... Well, not that good. The scans. Then try a scan from GuMiho. How many orbitals? 6 of them. The speed Banshees come in and we'll see the mothership building. And they just fly right past. You can see him, but can he kill him? Can't even launch the interceptors in time. The Banshees will escape. And now GuMiho knows what he's up against. You know, maybe he should have just built a Phoenix to kill him. Oh. He's got some Templar with Storm loaded into a Prism. And Showtime has that Sky Toss Golden Armada. He's got +1 air weapons, working on +2 shield upgrades coming online. GuMiho's got a laundry list of Terran upgrades as well. But it's going to come down to whether he finds the angle to fight these. Active Cloaking will force the scans, which are not really hard to come by at this stage. 3 more command centers on the way. Vikings cutting back, but he only has, well, he has 7 of them in total right now. The command centers will slow things down, though he doesn't have the building over yet. Down goes 1. The Bio Army, more EMPs. Just trying to deal with the interceptors. And there really aren't that many of them. The carrier count isn't so high, you can just overwhelm. The Marauder count these days, I'm not entirely convinced GuMiho is, like, GuMiho oh, the Banshees! Are you kidding me? The Banshees come back. There is an observer, but the Banshees actually force Showtime to retreat and rebuild. 3-3 now finished. GuMiho slapping down half a dozen turrets. Mass missile turret defense. The turrets per minute raise. GuMiho is the highest level Bronze League hero in StarCraft 2. And you love to see it. But the mothership coming in. Where's that Time Warp? Beautiful Time Warp. And the Vikings may take it down, but she's taking so much damage. And that means the carriers are still intact, though the interceptors are gone. Storms are good, but are they good enough? EMP soften things up. Almost everything on the ground is being obliterated. The war is being fought in the skies. And now there's not much left for Showtime. He does take out the base. He takes out 20 SCVs, but he loses the mothership. He loses all the Templar. He loses the carriers. And he's losing this battle overall. GuMiho, the dividing takes down the observers, and then cloaks, and the ghosts will survive. High-sec auto-tracking on the way. So, nuclear missile in production. More robos. As Showtime swerves back towards the ground, Blink Stalker Disruptor is a much more malleable composition. One that relies a lot less on having the perfect fight and more on just catching your opponent off guard. But it's also not as strong as a perfectly controlled late-game Skytoss Armada. But look at the supply. I may have underestimated Showtime's bank. He had so much money he was able to replenish with this less expensive but still powerful army. Whereas GuMiho is at 150, and he's struggling for any more. Even with mules, he's only got one really fresh mining base. The Viking count is damn high, but the Stalkers, if the Vikings are on the ground, they could help out, but the Disruptors will make short work of them there. The command center sit back down in order to try to hold things together. And now the Disruptors coming around for more. The Disruptors are an existential threat to the ground army, as is the Storm to the SCVs. He's down to 32 of them. That means the army supplies are dead even right now, despite the overall number. So Showtime does have to be careful with attacking indirectly. But if he can limit GuMiho's economy. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bases for Showtime. Only 1.5 mining bases for GuMiho, which is quite an income gap indeed. As we see for the last 5 minutes or so, Showtime with a distinct income advantage. And now he's got so much money in the bank. EMPs thrown out. Another orbital taken down. The 400, well, I guess 550 mineral wall. Whips out some disruptor shots, but comes up empty. More Marauders in production. But GuMiho, this is probably his main weakness in this matchup. His build orders are genius. He's so adaptable, but he doesn't have the micro level of like a Clem against these disruptors. And in this sort of scenario, he's going to try to bait Showtime into a devastatingly bad fight and then carry that momentum. But Showtime, this is what he wasn't able to do. This is what he didn't do in Homestory Cup. He's building Tempest. All right, a nightmare, if you would, for Terrans. inspired by Nightmare against Terrans. He couldn't see the ghost, but he just had to get close. So the Tempests are guaranteed damage, and the way carriers are not carriers, those interceptors are fragile creatures, can be gunned down easily. But the Tempests are very hard to deal with for Terran if they don't have an overwhelming amount of army supply. Like, Showtime can trade away Stalkers to get the Tempest into position, whereas GuMiho doesn't have any money in the bank. So I think the Tempest's a genius choice here. Exactly what he needs to deal with this turtled up Terran composition and start to break through. Showtime has half the map, playing his Zerg toss right now. GuMiho he has 163 army, 161 army, okay. Disruptor volley goes out, clips some ghosts, another volley, fadeaway shot, finds a couple more. Good micro, and one more for the row. Oh, that was a big one. Templar. Full energy as well. Dark Shrine on the way. Always gotta respect him, even when he's not in the game. Air weapons level 3 as well. He's hidden the Tempests. I believe they're still just building up in the main. Or somewhere else. There's no Tempests around. I have no idea where the Tempests are. Yeah, he's just hiding them. I think he's trying to bait GuMiho into dropping the Vikings, and once he clears out that Viking number, then he can come swinging in. The Ghost, looking to snipe, but good luck with that. Feedback shuts it down. Dark Shrine nearly completed. GuMiho's still maxed out. This is such a hard army to actually dismantle, and that's why Showtime is whittling it down like he is. Takes out another Observer. You might have a Scandinavia Vikings, but at this point, going to be very hard to deal with. Cool. Very dead Ghost trying to snipe Templar. Succeeding at sniping Templar, but GuMiho gonna go straight down the center where there's relatively little defense. Are we base trading? Actually, I think a base trade mostly favors Showtime, as there's only one. Well, he's not really committing to it, whereas GuMiho is about to. Where did the Tempest go? They just went up to the north side. The Vikings may hit the deck in the main and start chewing through the buildings. Showtime working his way through the outlying base. GuMiho's taking out all the production. And if you don't have any gateways or any production, it doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. Every single one of those gates. Well, there's not much back at home for GuMiho either. There's 6,800 minerals, 3,800 gas. This is a desperation move out of GuMiho. But it's probably his highest percentage play as well. He desperately needs to take out all of the production and then somehow win a fight against the army. He's at 0 minerals, which is not very many. He's still got orbitals if it comes to that. The Marauders are trundling through. Disruptors behind the Templar. A wave of Templar. Wow. The storms. And as long as they don't all get EMP'd, both sides are supply blocked now. More gates on the way as Showtime starts to realize he doesn't have any production left. The slow-moving base trade, but eventually Showtime will get through. How many orbitals? Down to 2. And the Dark Shrine? Well, the Dark Shrine could be taken out. Showtime has only 3 gateways, only one of which is powered. There are no DTs on the field because he's hard supply blocked. His army is just too large. The Vikings are continuing to chew through the main base. Some Marauders take out another Nexus. GuMiho knows about the base to the north side. It looks like it's time to fight. As GuMiho's at 0 minerals, Showtime's at 8,000. GuMiho has a massive army supply lead, but he cannot replace a single unit. So, the Templar, he needs those Templar to be EMP. Those Disruptors are also dangerous. GuMiho with this Terran Deathball. Oh, a massive storm! Category 5, he tries to go through, but GuMiho loses much of his supply lead to 2 Templar. Plus 3, oh no! Oh my god, the storms. A devastating historical and StarCraft 2 counter to Vikings will continue to chew into the lead. The army supply lead, that is, not the mostly everything else lead. But GuMiho stalled out in no man's land. He needs to make some progress here, but he just can't quite do it. If he can get through and take out these Nexi, like, I remind you, it's this time when I must remind you, in order to win a game of StarCraft 2, very technically, you must destroy all of your opponent's buildings. Oh my. EMPs across the board! And the Templar are completely out of energy. He's trying to wait to merge them until he's in a safer location. There's nothing in the main to defend for GuMiho. He's chewing through this base. Showtime still has 7,800. He's made so many pylons. He can rebuild his entire army, assuming he has the production, which might be too strong of an assumption. This game has gone sideways, flipped around, and is now going right back side up, which, that didn't make any sense, but neither does what's happening here. The base is in flight. Unfortunately, no tectonic destabilizers, though I'm pretty sure they don't work against buildings that are fine. As GuMiho has abandoned ship. But at the end of the day, Showtime has had more than enough space to rebuild his entire base. He has 7 gates and counting. He has enough money. GuMiho is probably hoping that Showtime is pretty broke. If Showtime was also at 0 minerals or under 1,000, there's a very real chance that GuMiho could somehow win the war of attrition. But he's simply not. He's rebuilt the gateways. He has the upgrades. There are Templar at every turn. And the storms are just chewing into the army composition. The medevacs are good, but the units have to survive to be healed. 32 probes to 1 SCV. Where is that SCV? Yeah, that's a bold move. The barracks might be able to eat a shot or two before the Tempest retarget. As GuMiho, it's just taken too long. His army supply is no longer in the lead. The disruptors, Showtime is slowly but surely remaxing out. The SCV getting in on the action, trying to kill some probes, which are remarkably difficult to kill with SCVs when they have +3 armor and shields. There goes a probe. It's a disaster for GuMiho. It was probably his highest percentage play, but those percentages looking slim right now. EMPs, the barracks are covering, working his way through. Are there no Templar on this side? Showtime caught in an awkward spot, but the Tempest, at some point, he's running out of buildings. A lot more probes gonna go down. Trying to keep some cover. There's still the orbital in the top left corner, but there's not that many more buildings out there. The Zealot slowly but surely working through what few buildings are left. The SCV working on the gateways. How is this still going? He EMPs an observer. There's no way to repair any of these buildings if they're burning. You need minerals for that. Drops the command center back down. Will he drop mules, or is he just gonna scan? I think he just scanned at this point. Oh my. Scan spots the army, which also lets him know there's an orbital somewhere. But on the high ground, the Templar! And that army's all clumped up. The Zealots are coming in. The barracks wandering into the fray, actually distracting the Tempest. But the disruptors from the high ground. The storm across the board. And GuMiho is wiped off the map. Still, one of the most arduous processes I've ever seen. A 10-minute long base trade as GuMiho taps out of the game at 1 supply left. And 0 minerals for the last 5 minutes. And it's not even BM at that point. But instead, if Showtime had a little bit less in the bank, or if GuMiho was able to take out those outlying bases first, there's a real path to victory. But Showtime holds on. Just ridiculous patience. Almost too much patience. But eventually, it pays off. The speed banshees that were totally super duper intentional, creating and opening up one of the weirder Terran versus Protoss I've seen in recent history. I feel like I learned something from that game. I don't know what is the problem, but there were lessons there. They're gone now, though. Game 3 is on Site Delta. And as entertaining as that was, I'm hoping we can snap back to reality for a moment here. Or we see GuMiho double down on the mech versus Protoss and see where that takes us. The Banshees do it a surprising amount, but they're just not a straight-up fighting unit. At least unless you totally focus on them and force them into the Stargate. Also good to see the Tempest in the late game. Even though they weren't used as aggressively as maybe they could have been, the Tempest clearly the late game choice. The carriers are just too expensive. I feel like the carriers, despite their nature in, you know, your average team game or whatever, despite their nature as like an end game unit, they're so expensive. And they're so hard to use well against Terran. Because those interceptors easily get swatted out of the sky by ghosts and marines. And the carriers themselves pretty vulnerable to Vikings. But the Tempest, 5 or 6 Tempests, whatever the amount is to one-shot Vikings, really, feels like the strong option overall. And a Stargate, again, on a Showtime. Well, not really again, as Stargate took like 15 minutes to come together. But a Stargate opener. Phoenix first. Not gonna be dealing with any sort of those early shenanigans. Well, just because you go Phoenix doesn't necessarily mean you'll be in position to shut down early drops, early aggression. But it's a much better direct option than Blinkstar. A Twilight behind. Is this a Starforge build? No, not the Battle Aces style, but The Twilight immediately is kind of crazy. He's building one Phoenix. And then immediate... This is a decoy. It's a fake. There's Widow Mines out there. He goes for blank. A single Phoenix. Like, it's a real... He built the Stargate. I guess he has the option now, but that's kind of crazy. I guess you don't expect the blink afterwards, but yeah, chasing it down. He's going to force the meta. It's already taken so much damage here. Widow Mines don't even burrow. Oh wait, they did, and he left one up. Oh, GuMiho, you sneaky devil. I didn't even notice it. There was a Widow Mine burrowed, and then the other two just on top of it to try to bait the Phoenix in. Oh, but the Stalkers! So close, but the Widow Mines will unload. And the medevac is still alive for now. Adept is taken out. There is no blank yet, which means nothing to directly deal with this. Oh, the mines are so problematic. He finally gets it. He has to recall his Stalkers back. And those 3 mines... Oh, if he was able to get that medevac, it'd be so much better off. May have to sacrifice some probes. I doubt he'll lose the Nexus here. But the mines are just zoning it out. Wow. Ah, yes, the designated sacrifices. He unburrows. Gonna try to take it out. Draws a shot. Unfortunately, doesn't hit the other Widow Mines. The Marines are still working on this. We're on the clock. He may just sacrifice something. Retargeting, retargeting! GuMiho just keeps retargeting the... Oh, no! Oh, he's gonna lose the Nexus! The Widow Mines zoned him out so well. And the stock Marines... No upgrades at all. No stim, no combat shield. Just chew through the Nexus. GuMiho with the little tricks there. the devious Minecraft gameplay. Well, that's frustrating. That is a very tough position. Though there is a moment here. The bunker is not done. The Phoenix is still alive, which means it can provide high ground vision, potentially for the Blink Stalkers. So, there are 3 tanks, but the Phoenix can also potentially lift the tank. Can he get up to the corner there? He's gonna eat the hits. This is so, like, what are you trying to do? He knows you're there. Like, he's threatening it. Double expand from Showtime, who's now got charge on the way. GuMiho feeling a bit bottled up at the moment, but Showtime unable to really capitalize on that Stalker count. Four more gates on the way. Scan. Just trying to keep tabs on what's going on. He doesn't see the forge. He doesn't see any other tech. He sees 2 more gateways, but that scan really didn't tell GuMiho anything. At least nothing he didn't already know. Setting up a proxy gate location in order to overwhelm with charge lots. It does seem like Showtime is intent on the mass charge lot, mass gateway unit style to just run down anything that comes out of GuMiho's base. Robotics facility is on the way as well. Putting it all together. +2 ground weapons for Showtime. GuMiho taking a third, but he doesn't have combat shield. He doesn't have any of that tech you'd usually want to deal with an overwhelming amount. I mean, he has a lot of siege tanks. That's the big benefit. A whole bunch of siege tanks, but Showtime has 69 probes and a nice position to just move in here and try to get critical damage done. And if he was gonna do it, now is the moment. The tanks are unsieged. GuMiho doesn't realize. Here comes Showtime. Oh no, it's an absolute disaster for the Korean Terran. He tries to save some of the tanks. He doesn't even bother trying to siege up, knowing they're not gonna make it. Force fields lock him in. And the charge lots cut him down. And a decisive victory for Showtime, swinging in with that early timing and overwhelming GuMiho. Despite his clever antics earlier, it's not enough to carry him through in game number 3. Showtime on match point. GuMiho getting too greedy. And that's the downside of going for the early, like, mass Widow Mines. Really not mass, but Widow Mine drop means you don't have a lot of map control at all. Even if you deny the base, he didn't actually kill probes. So that means Showtime was able to re-expand and put together a whole lot of units, and he already had the Twilight as well. So while he got a pretty big win in killing that Nexus, he didn't actually delay the economy in any meaningful way. Also, that looks a lot different if GuMiho realizes there's 30 charge lots outside his base before he unsieges. But what he doesn't know certainly can hurt him, and did there. One Rex expand. A probe annoying the SCV, trying to delay. He saw there was no second gas, which means it is a 1 Rex expand, though he might not realize the command center's on the high ground. Showtime, 1 gate, and Nexus, as you might expect. Will he go for the Twilight, or is he going to reach for the Stargate again? Based on the gas, I think it's almost certainly a Twilight. Interesting to go. I don't know if it was worth it. Going for Stargate into 1 Phoenix. I guess if you're dealing with certain builds, you may have scouted and been like, well, I just need the ground army. But Interesting. Just one Phoenix the whole game. Whatever it was, it worked out. But it's pretty rare you see it used for just a singular unit. Twilight Council begins. Factory for Gumi Bro. Adept being annoying. Almost dies for it, but kills a Marine. Was it worth it? Felt good, I bet. Twilight almost done. See if he decides to switch it up or reach for the blink. Indeed, it is blink. Flipping over. Siege tank on the way. And a medevac as well, which means GuMiho looking for a similar pressure to game number 1 with that decisive, pretty much game-winning siege tank timing. Though no Widow Mine drop, no extra kicker, just straight up siege tank and medevac. There are some pretty nasty siege tank positions on this map that he might be able to exploit. I think that is the intent here. Meanwhile, Showtime, he's got a robo, a second gate, a shield battery. It's all gonna come down to execution. Medevac poking out. Is he? Oh, he's showing. Oh, GuMiho. He's looking in the front, and if Showtime sees a medevac, he's gonna think Widowmine drop. Especially if it's all alone. So, in the off chance he had a unit there, he'd be able to know. So a little clever move as he waited for that second siege tank to be done. But here comes GuMiho. Blink will be completed, but there's only 5 stalkers on the field. The Adepts. Oh no. He didn't see it. It was a split second too short. And now the Adepts, the army's already here. GuMiho is walking up in the army. He's just completely blindsided. The tanks will siege. But the damage is already being dealt. He's punching into those stalkers. And all the siege tanks. Viking hits the deck, though. Viking's surprisingly good with that extra mechanical day. He doesn't target the tank. It's a oh my god. Just, oh no, it's a disaster. It's a disaster. He doesn't finish off the last tank. Would it matter? No. But GuMiho walks up and takes his lunch money. Which is surprising that a Protoss had lunch money in the first place, because, you know, why would they be eating lunch? They don't have mouths. But at the same time, oh my. Disaster. That brings us to Game 5 on Crimson Court. And GuMiho with no shame. Proxy Barracks in game number 5. You sly dog. Now, it doesn't... He's not doing the Marauder all-in. It's just going to be a Reaper to start. Can't really Reaper wall this map, as there are 2 Reaper jump locations. So, just... Well, technically 3, but one of them's kind of just inside. The probe announces its presence. SCV heading back. Reaper on the way. The conspicuous lack of barracks is information in and of itself for Showtime, but what will he do with it? Reaper, ready for the main. No Zealot produced here. He's just going to Chrono Boost out a Stalker and Micro Probes, which is... It can go sideways quickly. No bunker or anything either. Gets 1 probe. Stalker, most of the way done. Working on a second. Oh, he gets another one. The probe's almost able to take it out, and now it might be enough to take down the Reaper. He dodges back. One more shot. Finishes it. One for the road, but 2 probes. Another Reaper on the way. Did he actually see the barracks location? He did not, but it's pretty obvious where they're coming from at this stage. Barracks heading back. Twilight Council on the way. Might be able to catch that scouting probe. Not quite. Stalker boxes out. Twilight Council halfway there. And Cyclone. Nearly completed. As GuMiho will continue to put the pressure on. Gonna try to exploit the lack of any real reliable defense for Protoss in the early game. Especially if you don't invest in a shield battery. That Cyclone can easily kill a Stalker, which is equal in cost. Of course, once Blink is online, Showtime can strike back in turn. Cyclone looking for something. Staring down the nearest unit with that turret tracking. So, intimidating. More barracks on the way, as one floats home as well. And now, a couple little mines burrowed down. Well, one burrowed, one unburrowed. GuMiho always likes to have some variety in life. Their medevac. Widow mine drop is the choice. And Blink still pretty far out. I think it won't quite be completed by the time the mine drop comes in. And if he can distract him with the Cyclone or Reaper, Andor, then a good chance to get some extra damage done. Single Stalker. Could even load up the Cyclone into the medevac here. Just bring the Reaper in the more conventional method. Goes in. Redirects the mine drop. Drops it down. The sacrifices. Oh no! Get out of the way! Retargeting, retargeting, retargeting. Tries to get one from downtown, but that keeps Showtime quite busy for quite a while. Another mine drop. Retargeting. And gets the shot. But a lot of mining time lost. The other Widow mine isn't actually dead yet. Needs to make sure he takes that down. He will. But GuMiho denying a third base. Oh, coming in for another round. Loads up the Reaper and Cyclone. The medevac still with plenty of HP. The third base taken on the outside for Showtime. He mines through the mineral wall. And GuMiho opting for stim and +1 back at home. Which, yeah, not too surprising. No random banshees again. I'm still pretty convinced that was a mistake. But one of the most amusing ones I've seen in recent history. I do wish speed banshees were more of a thing, but does Terran need another speed harass unit to murder workers with? Terrans, calm down. Alright. Whenever I see four Stalkers in a prism trying to kill SCVs, I just think as a Terran, look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power. Meanwhile, Liberator sieges up. Or a Cyclone comes in. Or even, like, a single Widow mine, of course. The Observer. There's no way GuMiho doesn't know it's... Yeah. Here comes the medevac. Speeding past. It's spotted by the Stalkers. Just drives right by. The tank push is coming in. Stim's not done yet. What's on the ground right now? Did charge finish? No. Finishing up now. The medevac out in front. Does he know about the third? He does not. But I think he's suspecting it at this stage. Yeah, it should be pretty clear. He's going to start the tank drop. He spots the third base, the mineral line. The siege tanks in position. Zealots. He's going to kill a couple probes. Showtime doesn't have that many to burn here. And the Marines dart in, able to depower the shield battery. The tanks in between a rock and a difficult place for the Protoss. Moving forward. 4 siege tank push. enough to do real damage to the charge slots before they get close, but Guardian Shield gonna help out a bit. One tank taken out. No combat shield on these Marines means they're quite vulnerable here. He retargets the tanks to make sure friendly fire isn't too much of a factor. Targets down the sentry. Eats through the Immortal. Another wave of charge slots coming in, but one of the siege tanks survived. GuMiho's still getting a lot of damage done. But is it enough to break through? As the reinforce... How many gates? 8 gates. GuMiho's overstaying his welcome. I think sticking around any longer is a mistake. And we'll see if Showtime punishes him for it. The charge lots are overwhelming. And the siege tank is taken down. The Marines are able to gun down a lot of the charge lots. And look at the supply, actually. Showtime only had 53 probes. He hasn't been building probes during all this. As he's been trying to pump out every single possible unit. But GuMiho's only taking a 3rd command center now. He doesn't have that sort of economy that can overwhelm the Protoss. In Showtime, he might have an equal number of workers, but he's mining from 3 bases, and he's already got a lot of his infrastructure online. GuMiho only has 3 barracks done. Showtime's already finished his 8 gates, so he's already invested in the future, and it's paying off. A recall to the main. Infantry armor, level 1. It's 1... Wait, is there even a forge? Oh, no. Now that's an issue. No upgrades at all. Well, Storm is a pretty big one, but no basic upgrades for Showtime. He doesn't even have a forge in production. So GuMiho going to have a 2 upgrade advantage, and now he's building on the armory. Storm, of course, doesn't care how fancy your armor is. But relying entirely upon it, GuMiho doesn't have a Ghost Academy, though. So without Ghosts, that Storm is way spookier. And potentially deadly. GuMiho builds up another tank push. Showtime didn't actually take down the rocks. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Storm's only halfway done. Those Templar are a bit of a liability at the moment. Force field, it feels like it might be helping GuMiho more than it's helping Showtime now. A Warp Prism into the main, killing some SCVs, but this push looking very dangerous. Chrono boosting Storm, but GuMiho is knocking down the door. The Templar barely survived. Storm is completed. The Warp Prism is cleaned up by the Liberators. A Storm drives GuMiho back at the front. A tenuous defense so far. The robotics facility is under fire. Shield battery overcharge on cooldown. The wall is crumbling. He must hold. He can't lose that robo. He needs the Immortals desperately. He has no upgrade. Storm hits all the medevacs. The Warp Prism comes in. Liberators coming up. Going to siege up. Down goes some of the medevacs. A lot of them badly bruised and entirely out of energy. 10 SCVs dead. But Showtime only has 56 probes. GuMiho's been able to take a 3rd. He has a slight supply lead, but the upgrades. Storm is good. And a forge finally complete. He's working on +1 10 minutes into the game. And just now getting that +1. Medevacs. Liberators pre-sieging a base that Showtime is still far off of taking. Trying to chase down some units. GuMiho 15 supply lead. And that's so important at this stage because of the upgrades. If you have a supply lead and an upgrade lead, you can just lean on them. If you have a supply lead and no upgrade lead, you can still probably take a fight, but it's going to be painful. If you have neither, like Showtime, you have to take the right fight. You can't just keep fighting, because you will lose. He has the Storms. And GuMiho, if he can fight well enough against them, is in a comfortable position. But there is no comfortable position against Mass Storm. We don't mind? We don't mind? We don't mind? Wow, he retargets. I'm not sure if he retargets, but ends up killing the sentry with incidental fire. But here come the Templar. The Storms on the back, forcing the issue. The medevac swept out of the sky. The stim is good, the concave is great, but the medevac's just now coming up. Showtime chewing through all of this. 6 SCVs dead. An Immortal doesn't quite get out of Widowmine fire. But the Terran army is coming together. The SCVs are sacrificed for the greater good. Another Immortal is taken down, and the supplies are dead even after this. 15 SCVs dead. Showtime, though, unable to mine from his fourth as there's a Liberator hidden in the trees. Oh my, he'll take it down. Game 5, on the edge of a knife here. But GuMiho just sharpened his even more. +2, +1 done. 3 upgrade advantage. Wait. 2 upgrade advantage. Soon to be 3 upgrade advantage with +2 armor. The Medivacs, almost out of energy, but they've been able to refill most of these units. How many Templar are on the field? 4. Showtime holding on. That Storm Prism has been absolutely critical. And again, he flies right into the fray and drops the storms down on top. But the Bio Army, with that upgrade advantage, without the storms, they're just tearing through everything. Oh no. Storm, you need to win the fight so hard. And a tenuous victory is not enough. The Blinkstalkers still working their way back. Widow Mines, another storm. The Marauders in the red, but far from dead. Another Medivac taken down. The Blinkstalkers, the Ghetto Blink with the Prism. Another Widow Mine, retargeting. Tries to blink back, retargets again. Dodges the shot. Templar into the Prism. How is this happening again? Showtime, whittled down in supply, but he still has 4 bases and more economy. He just needs to hold. But a handful of bio units stutter stepping back. The Widow Mines. Oh no, he targets the Archon. It gets saved at the last moment. The Medivacs are out of energy. He's trying to drag the mine hits. Dodges back. Archon taken out. It evaporates. And GuMiho, with just barely enough, it looks like he's gonna break through. And the base is vulnerable. He tries to save the probes. He won't be able to fit all of them in the Prism. Oh no. Showtime held on by the skin on his Protoss, non-existent Protoss teeth. But the upgrades and the cost efficiency of that Marine Medivac Marauder mine composition is just too much. He doesn't have any reliable damage that can engage this anymore. The Archons are trying their best, but their best is not good enough. GuMiho. The last Archon falls. Dodging shots. Widow Mines work against GuMiho. +2 weapons is done. But so is Showtime. As GuMiho grinds him down and knocks him out. And actually played the game out for another like 15 seconds afterwards and killed the rest of the army. Which, you know, he deserves that. Another painful yet dramatic series for Showtime. As he takes GuMiho to the brink. And GuMiho kicks him over. Feels like GuMiho just a little bit better under pressure. But again, a dramatic ending. It's not quite enough for Showtime. Well, hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully it made your day a little bit better. And if you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free for now. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill. Don't forget your forge.